Okay, so we have 22 participants present in the meeting, in this already, let's call it hall. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to the second day of Agile Tour Vilnius and to the present connection track. Without wasting too much time, I would like to introduce to you our first speaker for the day, and that's Oliver Perner. And Oliver is a self-employed enterprise agile coach who has helped quite a few big and well-known companies with their processes. He's a flight level coach, a trainer, and a consultant for evolutionary solutions-based agile development. He's also a founder of the Meetup platform Innovation and Agile, and he is also a avid knowledge sharer and a participant in multiple workshop events and conferences. So today, Oliver will tell us more about how to combine innovation and delivery in a holistic way. I would encourage you to write questions in the QA section of Wova platform. We might not have too much time to answer those questions, but if we do by any chance, we will. If not, I encourage you to find Oliver later on in the platform and ask your questions directly. So the mic is yours, Oliver.
Yeah, thank you so much for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. I would like to start with a big thank you to making this happen, for everyone sharing their precious time with me today. Yeah, as already mentioned, I'm working also as a flight levels coach. Some of you might have heard of that. And I'm also working with strategizer tools like innovation and business strategy design. And these are the things that I'm going to talk about today. So I'm going to share my screen with you now. Screen shared?
Shared.
Perfect. So enterprise agility. I would like to talk about why it is important to be able to deliver the right thing at the right time. And I want to talk about, let's call it a story about a company that is a sum up of many companies that we worked with during the years. So there was this company that wanted to do an agile transformation to achieve the following goals. They wanted to improve time to market. They wanted to be competitive. They wanted to grow their businesses, and they wanted to earn more money. And it sounds reasonable. Yeah, they don't tell us directly that they want to earn money, but I assume that's what they're up to in the end. Sounds pretty easy, right? Well, the actions that they took to achieve these goals were they hired an army of consultants, a bunch of Scrum trainings, they did loads of certificates, some fancy kickoffs of fancy offsite locations with an exciting speech of the C-level managers. And of course, they had an implementation roadmap for the change. And as you can imagine, this was pretty expensive. And the consultants were very happy about that. 1 year after the agile transformation, they contacted us with the usual 5 common problems that we witness. So many dependencies, they're constantly waiting on other teams. All the teams are agile, but customer delivery still takes ages. Priority is constantly shifting. Well, we had a perfect transformation plan. So what happened? Why didn't it work out? And number 5, we're agile, but we're still losing ground and our competitors are still better than us. Let's start with number 1. So many dependencies, we're constantly waiting on other teams. So let's assume we have a customer and that customer wants to write a love letter. we have 4 teams, like legal, business, development team 2, and development team 1. Those teams are, you can, of course, exchange them with any other kind of team that you can imagine. Just think of your company, what kind of teams you have that should work together. Each of these teams is responsible for one of these lines. So, and usually, or often, something starts with business. Business wants something, and the customer wants us to write this love letter, I love Sam forever. Business wants us to deliver an I, so they deliver an I. Next letter that needs to be delivered in the value chain is an L. That would be Dev Team 2. And you know, Dev Team 2, remember the agile transformation already happened. They are scrumified. They're totally fast. They can hammer the L like hell. But unfortunately, we don't need an L now. We need an O, and that is, again, business. We need some information from business. And that takes a while because business is usually busy. And they are not scrumified. So next letter that we need is a V, and that is delivered by Dev Team 1. And you know, also Dev Team 1 is scrumified. They can hammer the V like hell. But both teams now realized, oops, we have an interface that business wants us to develop together. So we need to talk to business again, because I think there are dependencies. And that could take a while again. So business needs to deliver an E, the information. After this meeting, they found out, okay, we need to develop the interface together. So Dev Team 1 presses Shift and Dev Team 2 presses S. Big S delivered. Next letter, an A. Dev Team 2, scrumified. Hammer like hell. M, Dev Team 2, Dev Team 1. Quite simple. They did it. Fast. Now we need the number 4, and that is delivered by legal. And now this is no joke. The last company we worked for, we had to wait 12 weeks to get some simple information from legal. So what does that mean? It doesn't help us if we have some Scrum teams there that are able to deliver very fast or that are Scrumified, if the rest of these teams are not really participating in this kind of cycles and delivery strategy. And there was a clever guy, Russell Eckhoff, who formulated this sentence. The performance of the whole is never the sum of the performance of the parts taken separately, but it's the product of their interactions. Wise man. Let's come to number 2. All the teams are agile. You know, we sent them into these trainings. We built the teams. We have product owners, scrum masters, blah, blah. But the customer delivery still takes ages. Usually when we join those companies, we ask them to show us their boards, to visualize things that they're working on. And this is how like a typical Scrum team board looks like. So we ask them, okay, and this is your board, this is what you're doing, and then you're done. And the answer often is, actually, no. So show us what you're doing in addition. Okay, we have to wait for integration, for example. So everything you can see here in red is something where you have to wait for something, and the black columns are actually work that you're doing. So this is what you do, and then you're done. No, actually, we have to wait for acceptance criteria, for acceptance tests, for example. But then you're really done, right? No, we have to wait for releases, and then we're done. Okay, interesting. And how often do these things happen, usually? Well, like monthly, quarterly. So, dear Scrum team, you have those 2-week sprints, but you're releasing quarterly. That's quite interesting, isn't it? And now you're done. No, this is just our sprint backlog. Usually we also have a product backlog, and there we have to do some analyzation work or breaking down epics, stuff like that. And do you have anything in addition? I'm asking. Yeah, we do, because before the product backlog, you know, we have to wait for approval because business is doing detailed concepts. We have to wait for steering committee decisions. Before that, we have idea triages and so on and so further. And in the end, when you're really done, and when you look at the whole value chain, it looks like this. Well, you can see a lot of red waiting columns here. And I would like to ask you, maybe, what do you think, just think of your company, what do you think was the ratio between working time and waiting time in percent when we started measuring those company cycle times and lead times? So from an idea to a finished item, and it was really done. And the most answers I get here is something like, well, 70% waiting, 30% working. Others, they're more courageous. They say 10% working and 90% waiting time. And now the hard fact is, we measured this in many companies, is the average working time was around 0.5 to 1%, and the rest was waiting time, not working on these items. So imagine it does not really help you if you have fast Scrum teams. But maybe you could look at the interaction between all those teams, because if you reduce these waiting times just by 1%, you already doubled your delivery speed. So I think that would be the more valuable lever. Let's go to number 3. Priority is constantly shifting, and we have more work than capacity. Remember the board? Here we have all those green working items. Those are typically initiatives, epics, user stories, tasks, canvases, whatever you can imagine. And they are filled, pushed into the system, and people are working on it. So now, sometimes it happens that someone has the idea, I have a very important customer and we need to prioritize this customer. And then they just develop a new priority. Let's call it priority A. And then they send this priority into the system. Guess what happens to the green items? Yes, they will be deprioritized, or the prioritization is lower. So that means probably it will take longer on those until those are finished, because the red one needs to be done before. So now there is typically not only very important customer, but you have many or stakeholders that need something, and they found out that this is possible in your system. So what happens then is that you get more of these priority A, and the green ones get even slower. And this goes on, and at a certain point in time, red became the new green. And no joke, I have seen user stories lying around in backlogs that were 5 years old. Those were those greens. Imagine you have worked on these things already. So you had already spent time and money in developing those green things, but you never finished them because the business value after 5 years is probably going to 0. So you have produced a lot of waste. You have produced probably a loss of 100,000, maybe millions of dollars or euros. What then often happens, and I saw this not just once, is that maybe some C-level manager needs something very, very, very important. And then they just develop a new priority. Let's call it AAA. And I guess you know where this is going, right? So push systems, fully stuffed systems, no flow. Let's imagine that you are in the middle of this picture, and one of those, or let's say one of those cars is a taxi, and you order the pizza, this little white car in the middle. You could probably not tell when this car will reach you, if the pizza is still warm when it reaches you, or maybe even you're not hungry anymore when it reaches you. Maybe you're not even alive anymore when it reaches you, if I look at these crowded pictures. So resource utilization doesn't make much sense. But what would we do instead? What did we do? Well, we implemented a pull system that people pull their work, so we don't push work into systems. They pull work when they are finished in their column, and only then they're allowed to take something new. We also introduced WIP limits, work in process limits. That means if in a column you have a WIP limit of 3, you're not allowed to continue working until you only have 2 items left. Then you're allowed to pull the next one. It's called WIP limits. And why does this make sense? It's pretty easy. There is this lean approach that says stop starting and start finishing. because you're only making money when you start finishing things. You're not producing money when you're busy working on something. Okay, number 4. Remember, we had that perfect transformation plan. But what happened? Why didn't it work out? Well, never mind, you're not alone. 70%, around 70% of all agile transformations fail. What does failing mean? Well, what you actually want to achieve is that the system behavior changed. It doesn't make much sense if you just, I don't know, introduce some frameworks or whatsoever. And now you have cool processes and whatsoever, but people still behave the same way that they did before. And probably nothing changed. This often happens when we're under stress, when there is a lot of pressure on people. We tend to fall back into old behavioral patterns. That's some kind of safety mechanism, and it's totally normal. The main reason for this failure is change by framework. There are studies on that. So blueprint solutions, some kind of big frameworks, roll it out over people's heads, have these transformation plans and roadmaps in place. Well. So why do you make waterfall style plans for the change? Why not starting doing it agile if you want to become agile? Now remember, what the companies usually told us, what they wanted to achieve with agility: improve time to market, be competitive, grow their businesses, and earn more money. In these cases, nothing of that happened. Literally nothing of that happened. What happens instead is what we call the agile theater. This is a typical anti-pattern that we see over and over again. But what can we do instead? As already said, I'm a flight levels coach, and some of you might be familiar with it. Some of you might already know the story, but I would like to tell you more about that. There is this little blue book written by Klaus Leopold, the inventor of flight levels. Flight levels is not a framework. It's also not a method. It's more or less an invitation to think together about how to create your flow system regarding your culture, regarding your products and services, and all the, let's say, circumstances that are very unique in your company. And it's also very useful to establish this missing link that I often see in companies between strategy and operational agility. Why is it called flight levels? Let's imagine you're flying in 10,000 meters heights and you're looking down to Earth. You can see continents, maybe cities, but you don't see many details. And this is usually what we're interested in if we work on a strategy level, very high. I want to see those details. I'm not really interested in seeing buckboards or something like that. Let's imagine you go down for, I don't know, on 5,000 meters, you might see highways that connect cities. So you're able to see how all those things are connected and how they are maybe coordinated or collaborating with each other on this level. And then you have flight level 1, go down to the ground or very deep. You can see all the details, sorry, that's fine, where usually the delivery work is done. And this is how it could look like, very roughly. This is not what you should just, I don't know, copy. It's just for you to get an overview. This is how it usually works. So you have teams working on an operational level, any kind of development teams you could think of. And on flight level 2, those teams are coordinated, for example, in a product flow or in a service flow whatsoever. If you have more of these flows, you should connect them with a maybe portfolio board on flight level 2. That's this little board in the middle where you coordinate the flows with each other and where you can also prioritize work if you have limited resources, which usually is the case in every company. And on flight level 3, there is at least, it's all coming together. You have the strategic level where you actually should, make sure that there's alignment, that all those flows and teams in the end work together on the company's strategy. So what's in for you? Flight levels helps you to understand and manage flow between teams. It connects the levels to each other. It keeps collective focus to deliver the company's strategy. And as a result, you can see your capacities in real time with an appropriate detail at each level, remember? And you will start to measure your progress towards your strategic goals. So it's not a gut feeling anymore. We are starting to measure. So now, is this enough to be successful? I think you need at least 2 components to succeed with your company. And we just tackled one, and this is being able to deliver, which is tackled by flight levels. But you should not only be able to deliver, you might also want to be interested in delivering the right thing. Because remember, it doesn't help you if you're very agile. If you stuff crap in, you will get crap in the end, no matter how agile you're in between. And that's where innovation and business strategy mechanics kick in. What I observe is, or what I witnessed is that it's not just a hypothesis. I've been there. Many companies are successful because they were just lucky. Let's face it, at least until now. Not many companies have real mechanics where they're able to reproduce their business success. They're not really innovative. They were just the first on the market, or they had luck with a niche or whatsoever, or maybe the others were even worse than them. But in the end, they were just lucky. That brings me to point number 5. We are agile, but we're still losing ground, and our competitors are better. They are outperforming us. Let's have a look at that. Those are the typical risks that business faces. Customers do not want or accept the product. We're not able to deliver. Marketing doesn't work. We are too slow. It takes for ages for the product to hit the market. Development costs are too high. Often I see they don't really know their customers, so they're developing something for someone which probably would not need the value proposition, or marketing doesn't work. And last but not least, the product is selling worse than expected. Revenues are too low. Innovation and business strategy might help here because you have a mechanic that helps you actually to anticipate the future, more or less. And I want to tell you a story. Usually everything starts with an idea. So imagine big companies, they also started as a startup once, and they were searching for the business model. Once they found it, they scaled and grew into a mature company, and they shifted from an entrepreneurial mindset to a managerial mindset. And we call those 2 fundamental different worlds, explore and exploit. While in the exploit continuum, the 2 main things that you want to do is lower your death and disruption risk of your existing portfolios. And you want to maximize the revenue, the real return. What you do here is scale and improve your existing business models. Remove business models that don't fit your strategy anymore. It's about growing. But managing what you have is not enough. We are living in times of disruption, and what you also want to do is build a portfolio of new ideas. The 2 main things that you want to achieve here is lower your innovation risk and maximize the expected return. So you have to find it out. But be aware that you can't pick the winner in these days. In the beginning, good and bad ideas are indistinguishable. You simply don't know. You have to search for the best ideas. And it helps you not to only search for 3 or 4 ideas, you have to search for really a lot of ideas. You have to invest little amount of monies to make sure that you only send those in the end to your exploit portfolios that have highest value. Only fund those ideas that show evidence that it will really work, and retire ideas that don't show traction. And make sure that you manage both portfolios, exploit and explore at the same time. Now I'm looking to my moderator because I actually would like to do a poll with you.
Yes, here we go, poll coming up. And we will be using Mentimeter for the poll. And okay, hopefully you can see the screen with the code.
And the question is, how many 100K innovation projects or ideas does it take to produce a mega success? With mega success, I mean something like a unicorn, a $1 billion business. How many ideas do you need to invalidate to find such a mega success?
Okay, we have one answer already. I will share the code as well in the Whova.
Four answers, five answers.
Yeah, we have 5 answers. We also have some answers in Whova. And I'm thinking of how to make it more visible. Well, let's use this Mentimeter poll for those who are already in the talk.
Okay, let's have 10 more seconds. Start the voting. Some people are Googling, I guess. Yeah, take your time to Google. That's fine. I like right answers. Okay. So some good guesses here. Let's go to the answer. Can you see my screen again?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. So you were actually really good in guessing, but I saw the Hoover votes as well that they were not that good. So the answer is 250. You need to invalidate at least 250 ideas in average, right? To find a unicorn. So 4 out of 1,000 are what we call a home run. With some of them, you make some money, that's okay, but most of them simply don't produce any kind of business value or success in the end. What tools can I use besides the portfolio map that I just introduced? Well, remember risks to your business? There was a clever guy who gave it some thought to think about how to structure this de-risking process to make it somehow possible to do this in a kind of well-structured, well-formulated way. And he invented something that you might know as the business model canvas. So actually, here you can see in a structured way how to tackle or think about these problems, how to talk about them and make them visible in the end, because you want to think about how to de-risk this stuff. The business model canvas is, we have 4 types of hypotheses here, and there's a reason why I call it hypothesis. I will tell you later. You have the yellow one that's called the desirability. That means, do people really want that? Do customers really want that? By the way, this could be 2 different user and customer could be 2 different things, not the same all the time. Will it be viable? So will I make money with it? I have to check that. And is it feasible? And I'm not just talking about technical feasibility, but I'm talking about, are we able to, do the key activities that are necessary? For example, can we code the highest performing search engine or whatsoever? And that would also be the key resource, by the way. Resources are not people. And last but not least, the adaptability. This is the surrounding of the business model, like key trends, technology trends, industry forces, competitors, macroeconomic forces, and market forces that you have to verify to de-risk and make sure that your idea is a good one. What many companies just don't do, I witnessed. What I often witness is that they jump from a fuzzy discovery, if they do a discovery at all, directly into the execution phase. And after, I don't know, 1 year or later, they find out that they have just not thought about so many things that would have helped them to not produce the waste that they just produced, because they maybe forgot to check if the, I don't know, the strategy fits to this new market, if someone needs it there, if the legal constraints are given, whatever you could think about. What you want to do instead is you want to de-risk your business ideas by creating series of tests that show you different levels of evidence that lower your risk so that you are sure that it has some kind of value. And you might ask yourself, when do I have to do this kind of evidence delivery or experiment series? Well, it's pretty simple. You have to do it all the time, from the first idea that you generate until your grown business, your scaled business someday will die. You always have to make sure that you're regularly looking at your business model canvas, you're checking everything, because in the end, everything still stays a hypothesis because the world is changing. So what we recommend here is doing it every 6 months at least with existing business models to assess them and to verify again with evidence collection that you're still on the right track. And it also helps you to protect your business from disruption, of course, because you are having an eye on your competitors. Now you might ask yourself, is this really working? Let's have a look at what another company did. Let's look at Bosch, the example. The reason why Bosch gave it a thought to rethink their innovation processes is the Fortune 1000 firm replacement rate. Some of you might know that. What does that mean? Those are the 1,000 most successful companies on the market now. And they're replaced by other companies that are getting more successful than them, or they disrupt them. Back in 83, it was around 35% of those companies were disrupted or just exchanged by other companies that were more successful. Between 2003 and 2013, it was already 70%. And now at the moment, we're measuring 2013 to 2023. So I could assume we're getting more people, we're getting more companies, even more startups are coming up. I don't think it will be less than 70%. I think it will grow. And that was the reason why they gave it a thought. And I think they made some very clever moves because they really gave it the necessary, and I call it seriousness, that it needs. Innovation is nothing that you want to just do aside. They really put it into their strategy, and they named a person VP of Business Model Innovation to give it the political and strategical seriousness and weight that it really needs to be able to do that, because you also need a lot of money to fund all those ideas that you want to invalidate and stuff like that. How did this look like? In 2022, Bosch had 815 ideas as an input. So they collected 815 ideas, business ideas, technology ideas, whatsoever. And as you can see in the end, through these steps, preparation and validation, 20 got a go decision, and they have 10 ongoing projects that resulted out of these 815 ideas. What was also in for them is a significant saving in opportunity costs, of course, because you get a lot of freed up personal capacity, because you kill ideas in early stages. You don't carry those ideas through your process if they show evidence that it will not work. You just kill it. This is, by the way, what I witnessed is hard for many people, for product owners. They fall in love with their ideas, with their products, and then they are not able to just let go, even though the evidence really suggests them to kill it because it will not work and it's just expensive. I want to recommend you 2 books that you might want to read if you're interested in this topic. One is Competing Against Luck by Clayton Christensen, and the other one is called The Invincible Company from the Strategizers series, also written by Alex Osterwald as a co-author, the inventor of the business model canvas. So now wrap it up. Why enterprise agility? Remember, being able to deliver. So if you have the best ideas, but you cannot bring it to the road, will not help you. It will just die. And I've seen this as well. And B, deliver the right thing. Remember, it doesn't help you to be agile if you stuff in the wrong things, you'll get the wrong things, no matter how agile you're in the middle. So remember this, what they wanted to achieve: improve, competitive, grow, and earn. What I just told you, the methods that I just showed you might help you that this could happen, or let's say the chance will be raised. My name is Oliver Perner. I'm happy to get in contact whenever you like. Ping me on LinkedIn, call me, send me an email, whatsoever. I wish you a great day. Thanks for listening. And I don't know how much time is left now. If there are any questions, maybe I have some time left to just answer them.
Thank you, Oliver, very much for this great speech, for widening our view a little bit, not helping us not focus on just making the team more agile.